everyone.
Hello.
Oh, I guess
Can you hear me?
now I can hear you. Yes. Good morning. I've started broadcasting. Have we gone all around? Has everyone had a chance to conduct the meeting now?
I have not conducted the meeting, but I have to leave it. I can't be late for work anymore. So I have to leave by 9:35 at the very latest.
Okay, Jenny, why don't you conduct the meeting and then we can be done by then.
Okay. All right. So the first question is, having completed the book, how has your understanding and perception increased on the process of international policy and law? Does anyone have a first comment on that?
I'll comment on that.
Okay.
I was shocked that that this women's group could have so much power over everything and just totally take control. And it seemed like nobody really knew what they were trying to do. And it was really hard to stop them.
I couldn't help but giggle at his response, when he was a lawyer and said, you selected these people and now you're complaining that. Yeah. I couldn't help but, I don't know, I sort of laughed at that because it's such a lawyer thing to do, to be able to be smart and witty enough to respond to that when they were arguing it. Yeah, so I agree with what you're saying. Did anyone else have any thoughts?
Sorry, I ran to grab my book. What was the first question that you asked?
Having completed the book, how has your understanding and perception increased on the process of international policy and law?
Well, I was astonished at the organization of the Women's Caucus and how much power they had.
Right, that's what I think Lisa was just saying.
Oh, sorry, Lisa.
No, it's okay. No, you're fine.
I just couldn't believe how, honestly, there's so much corruption. I feel like, oh my gosh, are Gadianton robbers at work in this area? And I had no idea when I read this. I was just completely astonished at how much power and the conniving and the workings that are going on there to affect us. They couldn't make it happen in American society, so they went to the UN. And I did not realize that UN had that much ability to influence the policies in America.
Yeah, it trumps everything, it seems.
Yeah.
But what I found was interesting, I think there was a section in the book where one of the leaders were like, let's just hurry up and approve stuff. It doesn't matter anyways.
Yeah.
And so this law and power trumps everything, but they're not even taking it seriously when they're there. They just want to hurry up and get it over with and go home.
Yeah.
Well, I loved how he brought out the effect that, like he said in his original speech, that he probably felt like he was so alone and that no one agreed with him. But they were really just waiting for somebody to stand up for that. And so for him to do that gave everybody else the courage to come out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I thought that was really good too. That was exciting to see.
Mm-hmm. Cheyenne or Paula, did you have any comments on those?
Well, I think that I agree with all of you. I, of course, knew that laws and policies and etc. It's no like princesses and Disney and all those things. But reading about this personal experience and reading about this group of women, like, I don't know, was like a movie. For me, was like a movie. I mean, like, fiction was like too much. I mean, they had a lot of power and they were all the time like harassing him.
Yeah.
Incredible. I mean, it's even worse than I thought.
I know. It's kind of sad.
I thought it was corrupt as well. I just couldn't believe. And the history behind it being corrupt too. It all started with, I don't remember that one woman's name. I don't know if you guys do, and how she wanted all these women's rights, and it all started with that. And
wasn't her name like Alva or something?
Yeah, it was Alva. Alva, yeah. How the
It all started from her
Myrtle.
become this huge, huge deal, and I just couldn't believe how corrupt it was. And I thought of the Gadianton robbers too, how they thought they're doing this great thing. I just couldn't believe it. It was horrible. So,
Well, yeah, and I think it even said her intentions were not what followed through, and she didn't realize what the effect of what she was doing was going to be in the world.
Well, and her effect, and it's even in our textbook what she's done for women's rights. She definitely was the instigator of a great, I say, the mother of women's rights in rejecting the traditional family and rejecting the traditional role, because she saw it as a way to relieve women and to free them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What I thought was so interesting about her was that she even had children. And
Yeah.
her children even wrote about her negativity, and they could, that just was interesting to me, that she could be so against families and children when she had some of her own. That just was weird to me.
Yeah.
But what I thought was interesting is that it says that these causes are her definition of good. It's her agenda. So this is something that we have to keep in mind. And I talk about Gadianton robbers, and the way that the Women's Caucus acted is so out of line and inappropriate.
Yeah.
That's where I say that. But the fact of the matter is that they do believe that this is their definition of good. They do believe in what they're fighting for. They have a different opinion, a different way of seeing it, but they do believe in this. It's not something they're trying to do. They don't necessarily recognize, I think, that they're instruments in Satan's hand to destroy. They're looking to free women. They're looking to do what's best for women. They're not looking to, destroy people and destroy families. They just think that in order for women to have the best thing, they have to stop this from enslaving them.
But they sure are evil, aren't they? Oh my gosh,
they're aggressive, I would say.
Yeah.
Without understanding
aggressive,
consequences. But I'm wondering if people view advocates for family rights the same way.
Aggressive?
Well, just with their approach, and with the chastising and lack of compassion in a lot of cases. I'm wondering if some of those views can be viewed on. I just use family rights, but I'm saying any sort of agenda, I guess, people are trying to push. If that's the view, does that make sense? If we come across that
I think that we have to be. I think that in this book, Richard handled and his crew, they handled themselves so respectfully, so good. And I think that that's something we're trying to learn here, is we can stand up for what we believe in without having to be like them. And that's the problem in the world, is we do have people coming from totally different views, that their belief of good is different than ours, and we need to be able to work together. But when we're snide and we're cutting and we're conniving and we lie and we cheat and those kinds of things, that's where you're getting out of line. And we need to make sure we stay on the higher ground as we do fight for the family.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, I loved it how he went in and there was that huge argument, remember, at the Women's Caucus? And he stood up and he said, "Okay, I've had enough of this."
Yeah.
Everybody was like cheering. I really thought that he got that people listened to him just a lot because of that.
Well, he earned respect, and that's why he got the letter that he was, chosen before he even got back to the hotel.
Yeah.
Well, and it was pretty hilarious that I was going to ask later, but I love the fact that Heavenly Father worked in his behalf, that he had a beard.
Right.
I think that a tweed coat. They thought this guy was they gave him more credence because they thought he was from the East and from the Kennedy Center, not the BYU Center, and that would have made a difference. He wouldn't have gotten the credit that he did if he hadn't had that beard and that mistake.
Well, I think that's a really good lead into the next question, because it says, what role did you see the Lord playing in Professor Wilkins' efforts to advocate for the families on the world, and what lessons did you learn for your own efforts? And I think you're exactly right. There were so many small little things, even the fact that he was an actor and was given that kind of spiritual gift for him to be able to go off the cuff and be able to just answer questions easily and be comfortable with himself. And I think that was a huge role. And like you said, his physical appearance. Did anyone notice anything else? I think you said the Kennedy Center, the mistitling of his organization.
Yeah.
Did anyone else recognize anything that might have helped him, been a blessing from the Lord?
Well, it said that he lost 28 pounds. I don't know how he survived through all that he did without eating and sleeping.
That's
and
a really good point.
really was watched over, because there's no way that I could have done that. You know, most people had ended up in the hospital or something for that. 28 pounds in 2 weeks is quite a to lose, you know.
Well, I thought there were a couple of other little things like printing and asking for the credit extension. And I mean, who just authorizes that offhand, and then running out of money then, and then having the printer show up. It was just like little things.
Yeah, we definitely saw all along the way that the Lord's hand was in it. And you know, like you said, he became the opportunity to speak. I mean, that was unheard of and unusual for him, and he got to do that.
Yeah.
Also, later in the epilogue, they talk about going to another UN conference. I'm trying to see where it was, but that one of the students he took got a deadly virus, and there's a miraculous healing there. And they said there were miracles that resulted that conference. Like Heavenly Father's hand was really in it, and it didn't make it easy. It still wasn't easy. And I think if we apply it to ourselves, we need to recognize that when we're on the Lord's errand, it doesn't mean that it's easy, but it does mean that we can have faith that things will work out. Like President Hinckley always says, it'll all work out.
Well, I think that's a good point in saying that he wasn't just at that one meeting for Richard, but he's consistently there, and he's viewed over this organization and would like it to be run in his way, you know, or that will at least help people who are going to go with his direction in mind.
And I also think it's good to know that the Lord was working in other people's lives as well.
Right.
These other delegates that I love, they talks about the Catholics and the Muslims, that they too support the family, and the Lord is working through them as well to support the family and to do his work. He doesn't just use LDS people to do his work. And I mean, we know that, but it was a good example of that.
Mm-hmm.
But I did love how he did find other members of the church and just his little phone calls to his wife helped to give him the courage and lift him up. I just thought that was amazing to me, you know, that he was able, and the miracle of him being able to talk for those 4 minutes in that meeting was just amazing to me.
Right. What about any other thoughts from Cheyenne or Paula?
I was thinking about the simple fact that he was a lawyer. I mean, if we are going to be real, I mean, no one can be a lawyer. You have to have something special to be one. And he was trying to find that part when he was describing he was going to Supreme Court 3 times or something like that. He was talking about that speech and all that case. And I mean, the simple fact, I mean, his career, that was so important to be there and to do what he did. I mean, of course, wasn't simple. You were mentioning the loss of weight, his beer, having support from Muslim and Catholics. So I think that it's important. And also his personality, I mean, how he was. I mean, all those things that we have that make us unique. I think all those things play a super important role in his duty.
I think you're exactly right. I think all of these kind of things, you know, kind of culminated him to prepare him for this. Even though he wasn't prepared, he was supposed to have years that he said people studied their presentations, and he had 4 weeks, you know, and I think it goes exactly what you said. It's his education, and that's whatever special spiritual gifts, you know, kind of prepared him for that. That's a really good point.
And I think that we need to remember too, Heavenly Father will use our gifts, talents, and abilities. He'll use them to further his work if we're willing to obey, if we're willing to follow that prompting. I mean, when he was first invited, he wasn't going to go. He definitely had to submit his will to the Lord, because it wasn't his will to do this.
Right. Good. Okay. The next question was, even though the book was largely about Richard Wilkins' experience, what important supporting roles did you see others playing in his account, and why is it important to recognize this?
Oh my gosh. Like, well, I did say his wife.
Yeah, I think his wife was huge.
Yeah, but I was impressed with this lady, Susan, that helped him so much and was the one that knew that he was the one to go to this conference. You know?
And she supported him. She didn't just say, go and you're on your own.
Yeah,
Like,
and
I'm here. I'm
was
helping
there
you.
the whole time to help him. And they couldn't have done it without the people. They couldn't have rewritten the, I don't know, what would you call it, the law or whatever.
The what's
Yeah.
this called? The proposal, the whole thing they were working on.
Yeah, the whole thing they were working on. They couldn't have done it without all those people who were knowledgeable in what was going on and could pay attention to the special wording that was in that they had to word it just right and take out the brackets out of that wording. Couldn't have done it without all those people. There's no way.
Do you think even the negative people played a role that would help?
Yes, because I think he knew how important his work was.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely moved him on and caused him to dig deeper. I think that the people that he said, at one point he's like, are these people mad?
Yeah, yeah.
I think it helped him to recognize, that this really was a fight he was involved in, and to dig deeper. One of the parts that he talks about when he was having to write this speech, and he just was so stumped, and he was feeling such blackness and such resistance, and he went and called his wife, and he said if he could only feel her love, and that Melanie provided a roadmap and a vote of confidence, and also the ward loves you, and they're praying for you, and so even people like you mentioned his wife, but even the people that weren't there, he had that confidence of people that were away from him, but he knew were praying for him.
Mm-hmm. I love that he even made an effort to go to sacrament meeting, and there was that little tiny group of people, and I thought that was awesome because he didn't have to find that. He didn't have to seek it out, and but made that an effort, and it ended up being a really big blessing for him during that time. So
I thought it was cool at the end, his little journey to the mosque and how he wanted to do that, but how it all connected together for him. That was so cool.
Mm-hmm. Yep, go ahead.
I was like, Paola, were you trying to say something?
Oh, well, I just was thinking about adversity and how important it is in our life, how it makes us to do our best and to be more connected with God and with our principles of the things that we believe in. I think it's super important. I mean, in my case, adversity makes me try to be better. I mean, all the time, it's like, I have to do this. I have to do it better. I can do it. So it's like kind of do my best. I don't know how to.
It just makes you want to be good. It motivates you, right?
Yeah, it motivates me. Yes, yeah. Thank you.
No, that's good. Yeah, I was just on a walk with my friend this morning, and we were talking about, our situation was more social, where people can choose to be offended, or they can choose to rely on their faith. Yeah. And it's such a hard dilemma when you're going through trials that are making you choose between your faith and your personal feelings and being offended. And so I think it plays a big, it can either motivate you or take you down, and you have to choose what you're going to let it do.
Yeah.
Cheyenne, did you have any thoughts on that? Maybe I think I heard baby, so maybe she's.
Sorry. I just don't. He's just talking away. So I just thought it was amazing. His wife as well, and I mean, there was people just throughout that. I mean, I don't remember names at all, but his the lady that went with him, I thought she was a great help to him, and she believed in him, and I think that helped him. I mean, get out there as well as she knew that he could do it, and again, his wife is just awesome and totally supported him, and I just love that. So, and I think it's just important to as family advocates to support each other and to help each other advocate for, the family and children.
Yeah, definitely. Strength in numbers, and I think that goes again with having motivation around you.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so ponder your readings from A Sacred Duty. What are some consequences and risks of minimizing or eliminating family and religion from public policy? So let's start with maybe consequences or risks. Oh, wait, I guess they're the same. I thought it meant like consequences and benefits. Sorry. So what are some consequences or risks for eliminating family and religion from public policy?
Do you want to ask
Anyone have a thought? How about Paula? Did you think about that question at all?
When I read this question, I thought about, so if you eliminate something, you are not going to talk about that. You are going to completely ignore that. So if we ignore religion, and family and religion are tied, like in the case of us, LDS or Muslim people. So if we are going to eliminate that, we are not talking about that. We are not going to do anything to try to advocate or to try to place the family against again where it used to be once. Long time ago, as the most important part of a society. So if
Uh-oh. Did we lose?
Something happened.
Yeah, something happened.
Disconnected or something.
Paola, if you can get back, say something. But one of the things I noticed when they were talking about making things easier for mothers and for women so that they could have fast food, I thought that was so funny. That was one of their solutions. But the threats, they were putting it bluntly, children are cumbersome not only during work hours but also nights and on Sundays. The threat is that we won't value those things that are most important. Our children are our future. Our children grow to become the leaders of our country. If we're not, I think that's one of the biggest threats, is devaluing those things that matter most.
Right.
And not recognizing that we need to put time and effort into that. When we're trying to get religion out of public policy, we begin to lose the freedom to express ourselves and the freedom to acknowledge those things that are of our heart. I think that's something that we need to be aware of when we minimize or eliminate the family or religion, as we're losing sight of those things that are the most important and make us who we are. We begin to be these people with no moorings, and leads to a civilization that will destroy itself.
Well, it takes away your freedom to kind of choose and be edified in a way that'll make you be better. And a lot of people are motivated by their religion. And I think if you take that away, it could take away a lot of, core kind of definition of who people are. If you took away my faith, I would struggle. I didn't have the option to go to church, and I'm sure I'm not alone in the world with that feeling.
Well, you would lose the whole purpose of reality of why we're even here. I can't imagine that these people can live and not even really feel like they have a purpose. Maybe that's why they're so into what they do, is because they feel like they have a purpose in that way. So to me, it just wipes out the whole reason that we're even here on the planet, Just if they take our religion away and they take our children, what we believe in and our rights as parents and making choices for our children, having our free agency, that is why we're here. And if we get those taken away, we take away everything from everybody.
Right.
Yeah. And we're talking about public policy. So if it's how the public views things, if the public loses its foundation, it becomes all about self. And when you become all about self, there's great destruction when it's all about self.
Right.
Well, I had a really hard time with our last paper, not including religion in it, because
I know it's always
on marriage, and I just had such a hard time because my beliefs is what is, and my knowledge is what makes me think the things I do and things like that. But so I had a really hard time, and I actually got docked a couple points because I I just didn't know how else to write it. And so I mentioned a little bit about God in there. And so I have to figure out how to take that out for the next lesson. But anyways, I think it is so important to, when God leads our country, it's in things and policies like that, then, things go smoothly and his hand is in things, but we're not allowing him to be a part of those things. And so that's why it's so evil and corrupt, I believe.
That's a really good point. If we don't allow him in, no matter what our faith is, he can't have an effect on it. It's a really good point. Looks like Paula's back. Do you want to finish your thought on that? Because I was like, oh, she's saying what I'm trying to say, but I can't say it.
I don't know what happened. I have no idea. Well, nothing. I just was trying to explain that if we eliminate the family and religion, how we are going to make improvements about at that level, in a family level, how we are going to place as a priority our families and the families around the world if we simply don't talk about it. So right. I think it's important to have the topic there. I mean, always there and always trying to do something better, to try to change the mind of others who are against the family in some way. So just that.
I wonder what they would talk about if it was eliminated, like what the purpose would be of those things, right?
Yeah, that would be interesting.
Yeah. Okay, well, the last question is, based on a sacred duty, what do you think we can do about it? Does the author implicitly or explicitly, sorry, make realistic suggestions for ordinary citizens as well as those in a position of power and influence? Provide examples. So do you think that the author makes suggestions for ordinary citizens to help or influence?
I thought the book was really well written. Anybody could read this, even if they weren't a member of the church, and get the ideas of what was going on. And I thought it was just really clear, easy to read and understand, even though it was a complicated process. I'm sure it wasn't that easy for him to understand what was going on, but I thought they did a really good job.
Well, I like how Paula used the word motivating, and I thought there's been this kind of dilemma in my life, and I got my internship approved, so I'm going to be working with this group called Educate Empower Kids, and it's been really something I've struggled with, and I can't believe there was no problem in getting this internship. And she's like, we've had a bunch of people apply, but they're not mothers, or they're not writers, or they're not whatever they are. And so she's like, she just gave it to me on the spot. But it's an organization about protecting kids against media, and not just, well, I shouldn't say just kids, families against excessive media use. And they're just educating and inspiring. And so but in our area, we had a parent, I think I told you guys this last week, who complained about a book. And that was in one of our local libraries, might not have been this group, but they complained to the school board to complain. And it ended up being that this family was LDS, which I didn't know, but I had heard because I work in the library, and so it became an issue with our library to make sure that our books were age appropriate. And in turn, he's used the platform for pornography use and wants the schools to teach it, and it's kind of motivated me to say, like, wait a minute, the communication should not be coming from teachers and educators. It should be coming from families. It should be a parent talking to their kid and saying, here is your monitored use. Here's my Wi-Fi password. When I feel you can use it. And here's the images you need to be prepared for, or the bullying, or whatever it is. And so this book actually motivated me to be like, even if it is, and like that other woman who was saying just her little part, earlier in the semester, it's made me want to say, like, in my little bubble, like, there are tools and resources to protect your family. Like, I'm really becoming passionate. I'm so excited for my internship because that's what it's going to be all about. So I think at the very least, do they make suggestions? Maybe, but at the very least, I've got motivation, and I think that is a priceless priceless tool that that the book gave me.
Awesome. It definitely did that for me too. I was just aghast. I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't know my enemy. I did not know this was happening to this degree. And so it made me think I need to get involved.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the stories of this is like, people, if you support the family, you need to get involved because this is a war that's raging.
Yeah.
So I thought that was one thing. And I also loved one part where he said, that with his speech, he said, brevity after excess, love after hatred. Those in the room had ears to hear, recognized the truth as it came from 4 minutes of doctrine, as confirmed in a proclamation made by a prophet of God. I think that's something we can remember too, that if we are brief and loving and speak the doctrine of God, we don't have to say, God said. We speak the doctrine of God and speak the truth, that can change hearts, that it doesn't have to be a whole huge effort. I mean, it's a huge effort, but it doesn't have to be a whole bunch of words. It could be short and brief, filled with love and doctrine, and it will make a difference.
That's a good point.
There you go. That's a good note to end on.
Yeah. Well, just really quick, did Diana or Paula have any comments that they wanted to say before?
I just really liked what Tanya just said, how, you know, he didn't have much time to deliver his message a lot of the time, and you know, he just was short and sweet and to the point and love, and you know, and he made a huge impact on people there. And obviously it was, you know, the Lord was working through him, and what seemed impossible, what became possible, and he was able to do it all because of the Lord. So yeah. I just thought it was amazing.
All right. Well, thanks so much for the meeting. I just realized I didn't ask everyone to say their name at the beginning. So
it shows on there. I didn't. It shows our names all on there, except for Cheyenne.
Hopefully that's okay. All right. Well, thanks so much, you guys. This was a great discussion, and good luck with the rest
Thank
of your
you.
Okay. Have a great day. Thanks.
Thank you too, guys. Bye.
You too. Bye.